You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. Why she has no friends. Harry's wife has quite the history when it comes to ditching both friends and family. For instance, she doesn't bother with her father, she's disengaged from him, or her half-siblings, Thomas Jr. and Samantha. She doesn't appear to deal with anybody in the extended family on the Ragland side, just her mother. So all of those people, the uncles, the aunts, the cousins, etc., ditched. Either left on the shelf or, with the members of the Markle side, certainly disengaged from. Then when it comes to friends, well, her childhood friend Inaki Priddy has been left behind. Jessica Mulrooney, Sasha Exeter, they're all friends of hers who've been left on the shelf. Of course, former spouse Trevor Engelson was disengaged from, along with celebrity chef Corey Vitiello. Harry's wife has a history of leaving people behind. Now, I'm not going to talk about the intimate partner primary sources, Engelson, Vitiello and others that have been cast to one side, because that's a separate dynamic. But why is it that she has no friends? Well, there are two aspects to it. The first is the actions that she directly takes. She has no friends because she has no sense of accountability towards an individual who has the status of friend, or, using NARC parlance, non-intimate secondary source in the fuel matrix. So that, for example, with your friends, you have different types. You'll have some friends that you might interact with every day by way of a message or a telephone call, possibly even seeing them. You'll have other friends that you'll deal with perhaps on a weekly basis. You'll have other friends that you hook up with every few months. And then you'll have some friends that you might not see for a year or two, but you pick up where you've left off. And there's a good reason why you don't interact in the meantime. You might trade the odd message, but you don't really see much of one another because you live a long way away from one another. You're caught up in busy lives. And therefore, there are different levels of accountability within the friendships. But nevertheless, you have that sense of accountability to them anyway. Namely, if that person gets in touch, you will respond, that you'll remember people's birthdays. With some friends, you don't need to. With others, because you're closer to them, you do so. With other friends, you make more of an effort to see them more regularly because you're closer to them, both perhaps geographically and emotionally. But the fact is, you recognise that in order for the friendship to be maintained, you have to put some effort into it, and it works both ways. The narcissist doesn't see a friendship in that manner, but rather a friend is there to be used and exploited. A friend is only a friend to the extent that they can be controlled, provide us with decent fuel, provide us with character traits and residual benefits, one of which often is being part of the facade that's generated. Accordingly, with regard to Harry's wife, as a general proposition, she doesn't have any genuine friends, because the only reason that she bothers with these people is because of what she can get out of them. If they became too difficult to control, she'd park them on the shelf or disengage from them. If, for example, they started making demands on her time because they were having relationship troubles, unless her narcissism deemed that it would serve a purpose, most of the time, all of a sudden she would go missing, because she's there to take from the relationship rather than give. Her narcissism directs her to use these people, so there is no actual genuine friendship. Moreover, what then happens is that these people are treated to the shelf dynamic. When she wants to deal with them as dictated to by her narcissism, she contacts them, takes them off the shelf, utilises them, and then pops them back on the shelf, and back and forth they go. Harry's wife disengages from certain friends, possibly because they've become too difficult to control, but also, in some instances, because they no longer serve a purpose to her, that their character traits aren't as shiny and useful as they once was. Those residual benefits have lost their lustre, and therefore, she doesn't think to herself, well, this person has been a friend of mine for 10 years, and just because I'm now moving in rarefied circles, I should still stay friends with them because they're a good and kind and decent person. And I like their company. No, They serve no purpose, therefore the narcissism dictates either leave them on the shelf or in certain instances disengage from them, namely prevent them from getting in touch. Harry's wife feels no guilt in such regard. Thus, accordingly, she has no friends in a genuine sense because people are just appliances to be exploited. And then those which have the appearance of being friends are only dealt with for as long as they serve a purpose, and there's no meaningful long-term approach to them. They are always at risk of remaining on the shelf or even being disengaged from if they outlive their usefulness. However, there's a further aspect to this behaviour which means that Harry's wife doesn't have any friends, and it's because of her behaviour. The fact is that other people may well start to notice that this is the way that the narcissist behaves. They see them as a user, or you only get in touch when you want something. Now, some narcissists are very skilled at maintaining those contacts, so that people who are friends, even if they don't see as much of the narcissist, are more forgiving. I know that you're very busy with your tech empire, so I'm grateful for the few occasions when we do have a catch-up on the phone. Or they're excited to hear from the narcissist because the narcissist is so interesting and charismatic. The fact that they've not heard from them a couple of years, they don't bear a grudge about it, but say, great to hear from you, really missed hearing from you, what have you been up to? In other instances, it's such that the narcissist is so interesting and exciting and charismatic that the friends want to stay in touch with that person even though they've been treated badly. Basically, they're like that faithful hound that lies in the corner of the kitchen that gets a kick but still wanders up in the expectation of a stroke and licks its master's hand, notwithstanding how badly it's been treated. Certain narcissists, with their power, wealth, influence and charisma, mean that those people still want to remain friends with them no matter how badly they've been treated. But when it comes to people like Harry's wife, notwithstanding the fact that she's got herself into a position of influence and wealth and infamy, many people see that she's problematic and toxic, not just by way of her behaviours, but also in the way that she has treated friends, and therefore they don't want to be friends with her. So Harry's wife, of course, strode along thinking that she was the grand fromage and that all of the Hollywood A-listers would want to be friends with her. She's found that that's not the case. The Clooneys have stayed away, Oprah has distanced herself, Brad Pitt doesn't want to know, Jennifer Aniston doesn't want to know, Reese Witherspoon is team Princess of Wales and certainly doesn't want to know, and so many of them that she has sought to court their friendship have basically said no. They recognise that she's problematic, indiscreet, and they'll have noticed the way that she has used people. Now, of course, many of those individuals about whom I spoke may well use people in a similar way, but they're far better at doing it. They do it with more finesse and charisma, and therefore they get away with it. But not Harry's wife. As I've explained on many occasions, her narcissism is such that it did very well to get her to where she's got to, but it really struggles to keep her in situ. And this shows again by virtue of friendships. She uses people, therefore has no genuine friendships herself, and struggles to become friends with the people that she wants to become friends with because they simply see her for what she is. A transparent, using grifter, and they don't want any part of it. Hence, Harry's wife has no friends. She is Belinda No Mates. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.